Welcome to Drams and Dragons. My name is Gus Berger. With me, as always, is my co-host Dustin Van Horn. Today it's going to be more like dragons, I think. Right?
Yeah, mostly dragons.
Yeah, mostly dragons today. We're going to be talking about the first half of the Wheel of Time show. We're not going to be drinking any whiskey because we're doing this at kind of a weird time, early rather than sort of in the evening. So yeah, it's just going to be kind of a chill show. I'm getting over being sick. And how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Yeah, we had a student teacher conferences today, so and
Ah,
I didn't really remember we had it till yesterday, so it's one of those kind of days. Yeah, it's good though, man.
yeah.
It's good though. Um, yeah, I heard you guys had a bunch of weather over there too, right? Did tornadoes and
Uh,
whatnot, and
well, no. We didn't actually see. They were like, it was one of those like,
what's
you
freaking
know,
out, man?
weather guys were like, it's a storm of the century, unprecedented. It's gonna be
Uh,
like Tornado Alley in the Pacific Northwest, and then we got like um rain.
yeah,
Yeah,
laughing at that,
one of
but
those things. We got nothing out of the ordinary at all. I mean, like they were hyping it up, man. They were like, oh, we're gonna have
yeah.
like golf ball sized hail, like, and like I was just driving down our street, man. There were like people getting like covering their cars, like, with stuff so it didn't get like damaged. And I mean, most people weren't, but a few people did.
Yeah.
And then there
Oh,
wasn't even like any hail. It wasn't not just not golf ball size hail. There was no hail, zero, zilch.
oh, that's awesome.
I am actually also really excited to talk about Wheel of Time, the
Yeah.
show.
Speaking of hype and
Yeah,
reality and expectations and stuff, it's good.
a few episodes ago we chatted about the fact that they're skipping book 3 for the
Mm-hmm.
most part, and they're sort of skipping straight to Shadow Rising.
Mm-hmm.
And we voiced some concerns
Mm-hmm.
uh, that I think were still largely legit. There was a scene in these first 4 episodes of the show that they snuck in, was one of the scenes we talked about. And it was Matt kicking the crap out of
The
Gawain and
princes, the
Galad,
princelings.
the
Yeah.
princes of Andor,
So Gawain and
Elaine's brothers. Yeah, Gawain and Galad.
yeah.
And he kicks the crap out of them with a staff when they have swords.
Mm-hmm.
He humbles them.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the first standout to me too, which gave me a little flicker of hope. I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
like completely thrilled with the scene, but
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, at least they're trying. At least they're putting something in because yeah, in the book, I think there's a little more gravitas to it.
Yep.
It's like a public fight.
Yeah.
And one of the coolest lines, they got the blade master of the wardens. Like this is the guy who teaches the wardens how to fight. He basically eggs him on. He's like, yeah, of course, fight. And then when
Mm-hmm.
Matt beats the shit out of him, Hammer goes, "Who was the greatest sword master of all time?" And they're like, blah, blah, blah. And he says, "Well, he got his butt kicked by a farm person with a quarterstaff. Let this be a lesson." And it was super
Yeah.
cool. So,
Yeah, I agree. And when I was watching it, I felt let down by it simply because in the book, like you said, it's very public, and like I appreciated that the scene was there. I think it still matters for Matt's development. I think it's important. It's an important milestone for him.
mm-hmm.
Uh, but yeah, there's like in the book, like there's a crowd of people, like all the warders are training in the yard, and you have just like the scene there, and there is a scene like that in the show where they're practicing with their swords and looking badass, and all of
Yeah.
the all the accepted and novices
I think they
the
were
Aes
teasing
Sedai
us. I
are
felt
like,
teased with that scene
I agree. I thought it
because then
should
he
have been
walks
in that
away. He's
scene.
like, I'm done here.
Yeah. He should have, it should have been the same scene. I don't understand why they did that really, where they're like, it's like, we're talking about just changing things just to change things. Well, just make that the scene with all the people watching. And then Matt comes in and is a total badass for whatever reason. Like they had the setup for it and then pulled their punch. But then, like, land, threw the punch later, but it didn't quite land.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like that. This is the show for me. The whole show is like you're doing these things, but then you're pulling your punch when you should land it and then throwing it later more weakly. And it's just, it didn't, yeah, it didn't have the same impact that it did in the books. It
Mm-hmm.
didn't have the impact that it could have had. Um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
this is why the show is so frustrating.
I agree. Yeah, it's we want our characters to earn things and have what am I thinking of? I think gravitas. I think there should be some investment by us
Mhm.
in the character. You earn the moments and stuff like that. I felt in some way. So episode one, going back, the Black Ajah unveiling itself and escaping the Hall of the Tower and stuff like that. It was
Mhm.
uh, also kind of missed the mark for me because of just the really weird. And we talked about this before. The weird way the power dynamics don't always match up in this book.
Mhm.
How four channelers managed to overpower and escape from a room full of like the hall of the tower with the most powerful channelers in the
Yeah.
known world was a little silly to me. And then Alana with her two warders fighting what four Black Ajah at one
Mhm.
time, and they're all flipping around and stuff. And I'm like, okay, I get it. They're showing Battle Ajah stuff, but also she would have been smushed.
Yeah.
Um,
I feel
so it's
like, yeah,
just yeah.
I, I, I think that scene is the sort of same sort of thing, right? Where, in the books, that scene where the Black Aja escapes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember that being shown. That was not shown. This is one of those things that
No,
happened
because they
off
fled.
screen,
They
right?
fled in
It,
fear. Yeah.
yeah, the escape happens off screen, and they do get in and they take this Angriel, the Tur Angriel, right? They get into like the vault, right? And they take
Yeah, they
this
take the
stuff.
dream stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and in the books, yeah, it's not really shown. It just sort of happens off screen, and I like the idea of showing it. I like the idea also of playing it up and making it like the cold open, like where it's this big scene, right? Where it's this big deal scene. I don't
Mm-hmm.
mind any of that. I do agree. I thought it was not done super well. I thought that, I think there's this way in which like you're talking about where there's these like weird power imbalances where like they're not consistent,
Mm-hmm.
right? They just the magic is not consistent throughout. It's just they're just using it when they want, how they want. And that can be fine to some extent, like if you're a little consistent about it. But they're not. It's like one scene somebody's doing something crazy, like the power level of what they're doing is crazy, and then the next minute, like they're totally helpless
Yeah.
with it. It inexplicably.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
little like Deus Ex Machina to me. It's like the
yeah.
the plot's driving the characters, not the other way around. And
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. What'd you think of Aleda? Because Aleda's probably it's one of the big character
Mhm.
updates this season. It's the introduction of Aleda, who's a major antagonist in the series, and it's played
Yeah.
by I forget her name.
Avasarala. Oh, sorry, that's her character for me.
Yeah, that's how I was about to say that, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Oh, here, one sec.
That's so
Look,
funny.
I can never remember her name. I can only ever remember her as her character from The Expanse.
Oh man, because she
Um,
nailed it. She just
she
inhabited that
did.
character. But she's got this like deep, rich voice and this real like this way she carries herself that's so regal and
Yeah.
sure. And that was kind of the first thing for me that really popped out that I was like, yeah, okay, I'm taking some of the changes. Um, and because Elena in the books was not, she was kind of vain. She was kind of misguided, easy to manipulate. Um,
Mhm.
but I don't know. I always felt that her characterization was a little bit less. She was just more of the baddie.
Yeah.
Uh,
Her name, the actress name,
mm-hmm.
Shohreh Aghdashloo.
Mm.
She's a Iranian. actress, Iranian American.
Yeah, she's got that deep
Anyway,
voice. It's like, oh,
yeah,
hello.
she is phenomenal. She's been in, I feel like she's been in a lot of stuff lately.
Hmm.
I loved the choice of the decision to cast her as Leda. I
Hmm.
like that decision personally. I think she's got kind of like gravitas
Hmm.
to inhabit that role. It's a role that requires a great deal of presence, like screen presence.
Yeah,
Um, and I think she, even if she's not like perfect in terms of the descriptions and the actual like specifics of the casting, like that, the sort of vibe that she brings
yeah.
was
Oh,
really just nailed it. She nailed that. Um, so no complaints about her. I thought that was a great casting.
yeah,
Uh, I enjoyed the scenes that she was in. She's like, I think she's gonna make a really good villain, really
yeah.
good antagonist, right?
I agree. And yeah, and a note on casting too. So it wasn't just her. We have Avienda is back.
Mm-hmm.
We get a lot more Avienda time. Um, and the Black Ajah were interesting. I thought they did an interesting thing with the casting for that. All of the Black Ajah, they kind of look like misfits a little bit. They all look a little bit like there's like a bald lady, and she kind of looks a little evil before. And you're like, okay, I get it. She's gonna be Black Ajah. And then they have a little person too. And they have
Mm-hmm.
they got Varen. Varen still steals the show for me. Anytime Varen's in there, I thought the casting
Mm-hmm.
was awesome. She's got that bird-like look that
Yep.
they talk about in the book.
Yeah.
Um, any other like real big hits or misses for you with casting?
Um, so far, I think is it Ruark? Uh,
Oh yeah.
the Ale or Aiel. I don't know.
Oh man.
The new Aiel, I think they did a really good job on. The Aiel from last season,
Mm-hmm.
including Avienda, I don't really care for any of those casting jobs. Like
Mm-hmm.
the yeah, I didn't feel like Bane and Chiad, or is it Bane and Chiad?
Yeah, Bane and Chiad.
I didn't really care for those casting jobs. They were fine. Avienda is fine. I don't care for any of those casting jobs. I thought that Aiel that are in the waste that they meet this season, I thought they
Mm-hmm.
were the wise women and
Yeah,
Ruark
Baron
Severi, they were
Mullane.
fantastic.
Yeah, they really
Yeah,
fit.
yep.
Yeah,
They
Ruark
were
had to grow
great.
on me a little bit. He's more like big and broad than I was expecting. I was expecting tall
Mm.
and thin, lithe, but
Yeah,
it's
he had a little bit of like a feel of like oh, what's his bucket in Dune?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I know what you
And I mean,
mean.
they are the Fremen essentially. They're fantasy Fremen,
Yeah.
essentially. So no, I thought the new Aiel that were introduced were all really good.
Hmm.
In contrast, yeah, to the ones that were introduced last season.
Cool.
What do you think of the actress they got for Fail?
Oh,
We just
so
met, right?
yeah, and for some background on Fail or however, let's say Fail. I never really, I'm not a Fail hater or Fail hater.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't mind her in the book. Um, thought, I don't know, she never irritated me like others. I thought this kind of nailed it, honestly, because I mean, everything from kind of the Saldean thing, a little bit of an accent. I felt like maybe the accent needed a little bit of, it's like they were trying a little hard, the accents.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the look for me, like she fits kind of my vision of what I had in my
Yeah.
head. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. Uh, she fits the sort of vision I had, but I need to see more of her.
Yeah.
I like I need to see her acting in the role more. But
Hmm.
I just I thought it was worth noting because you see her, you meet her in what's episode 3, right?
Hmm.
Because so in Shadow Rising, we're sort of skipping book three a little bit. We're skipping into Shadow Rising, and so the main plots of that
Hmm.
are, Perrin returns home, uh, and then Rand, Moiraine, and uh, in Lan, obviously. Then also in the books, Matt all are supposed to go into the Aiel Waste and go into
And Egwene
Druidian
goes up there with
together.
him too. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Yeah. So yeah, in the books, so like they ended up all going to Tyr. A
yeah.
lot of them went to Tyr, but
Hmm.
to get there, that was part of the like that's kind of where Fael and Perrin really kind of got. Because didn't they meet up? They made up in Karain, I think, one of the big cities. Because I remember Bael Daimon, which I don't think they've seen in a little while. I think they did him in the show, but Bael, he's the ship captain, and Perrin like meets her on the ship. She's like a hunter for the Horn, and I'm pretty sure this is when they were traveling south at some point. Um, and yeah, I'm with you. It's been a while. I actually can't remember the sequence of it, and now the show has messed everything up in my head. There's development before that because, yeah, but they managed to arrive there without having the whole Stone of Tear thing. But I'm pretty sure there's a scene where he's like in the Wolf Dream looking for Fail because Fail is there with Elaine and Nynaeve, and Lan is there too. They're all in the Stone of Tear, and they're trapped by the Dream Terangriel. And Perrin, he's like, I gotta find Fail. I love her, and all that stuff. So there's this whole giant sequence of events that just have. I don't think they're going to happen. Um, so yeah, I'll be interested to see how they just kind of work it in there, have him fall in
Hmm.
love and stuff over the defense of Two Rivers. By the way, we got to see Lord Luke. That was kind of cool. The guy, yeah, so there's this
Yeah.
guy, and
Yeah.
he's helping the villagers against the shadow spawn that are invading and trying to protect them. And then there's the Children of the Light in there. Lord Luke's a pretty big character, especially in the later books. But they're setting up that kind of dynamic there where Perrin's got to rise to leadership and turn the Two Rivers, like whip him into shape and defeat the White Cloaks and defeat the Shadow and all that stuff, which should hopefully take place this season. Yeah. Oh,
Well, we'll
another thing.
see.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay, so here's something I would wonder if you noticed. So Perrin's actor, I think I could tell he's done some work on his character this season. Well, one, he's like more svelte. I think he like worked out more. Um, and it's
Yes.
just he looks a little leaner, and also he was kind of a mouth breather the other seasons. I don't know if you noticed this.
Yeah.
Whenever they panned to him, dude, his mouth was like open. And this season, it'll cut to him, and his lips will be like closed. And sometimes they'll be open, and then it's like you can see it, and he'll close his lips.
Yeah. He, of all the sort of main casting, I was like
uh,
the sort of originally, I was like not a huge fan of
mm-hmm,
The Perrin casting job.
mm,
Uh, he is way better this season.
yeah, yeah,
He's been, I would say, of all of the characters, and some of them have improved as this in this season over the previous season. Some of the in terms of their acting and their portrayal of the characters they're playing. I think Perrin has
mm,
massively improved this season.
yeah.
Like
I
I
would
gotta give
agree.
that to him. I gotta give that to him. And it's not just the weight. Although
Mm-hmm,
I agree with you. I think
mm-hmm,
he is more svelte. I agree.
mm-hmm,
I don't think it's just the weight. I think
mm-hmm.
it's a sort of he has a sort of he's less sort of like, I don't know, sad about the weird plot thing with the loss of his wife, but
Yeah.
he's got a kind of intensity,
Mm-hmm.
a kind of focused intensity that he didn't really have before.
Yeah, it's which is
Mm.
what you want from Perrin.
Exactly.
Uh,
Exactly. That's what you
yeah,
want from Perrin. And now we're getting it. And I actually think he's doing a good job this year, which is a big
yep,
difference. I did not care for his acting of portrayal of that character the previous two seasons. I think it's much better
yeah.
now.
And I think
I
that's what I was getting
Yeah.
at with the sveltness and the lip thing.
Uh-huh.
Like, it's not every. There's a lot of actors like you just kind of got to accept like okay they do things that I don't like or I don't like how they do this take like it's obviously that this guy thought about his role and got into
Mhm.
it and said, how can I do this role better? And there's probably some direction choices too. I think they pushed it too hard with the like, I don't know, they had a weird way of portraying his like his grief that he had over the
Yeah.
wife. And
Yeah.
I don't know if it landed as well. But yeah, agreed. He's very. I enjoy his scenes. I'm kind of like rooting for him now. I'm like, yes, okay, Perrin. I like the actor. Think he's fitting it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. How? So, talking about actors, how do you feel about the other roles too? I know you said Avienda, you're still kind of warming up
Yeah.
to. Yeah, kind of so.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I don't care for her her portrayal of the character. She's not I guess I don't see her as being like I don't know hard enough, like
Mm-hmm.
sort of gritty and hard enough, you know.
Mm,
The As far as other portrayals, I really like the new actor more for Matt. I thought this season than last season.
mm-hmm.
And he was not in it that much last season. You know, they switched actors. They had to change a whole bunch of stuff around, I guess, to fit him in. And
Yeah.
it was really funky. I think he's doing a good job. And I actually like him this season more than the original actor that they had to replace. I've really been enjoying his portrayal of Matt for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think the writing of his character has gone in some strange directions, but as an actor portraying it, I think he's done a really good job.
Yeah. Yeah.
It sort of makes up for some of the characterization in the
Mm,
writing.
yeah. He's got the rogue thing going on. Even even taking the girls by the arm and saying, "No, we're doing this." That's very kind of fits that kind of little bit of misogyny with Matt at
Mm-hmm.
first, where before he's put in this place by all the strong women in the show.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and talking about Matt, um, one of the weird ways they're going with it is so. For those of you who don't know, Matt is like he has all these memories in his head. He can't at this moment. He can't really sort his way through it. It's kind
Yeah.
of like a cacophony in his head, and it's very distracting. And these memories are from past lives that he's lived. And so in the show, it's like Matt. It's almost like a magical thing with him, where so before the bow fight, where he's fighting the princelings, he kind of like he has his bow staff, and he kind of goes, oh, like he's letting the past lives roll through him to be a good bowmaster or something. And that's very different than in the books where he just beat them because he was a farm boy with a bow staff, and his dad knew how to fight and taught him how to fight with a bow. Um, and it's kind of a different. I
Yeah.
like book Matt. I like better because of that because there's something there already. He's got kind of a core of um, grew up in this place where he learned the values that are going to help him get through the story and be the best kind of hero he can be. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
in the show, it kind of falls into that same trap. I don't know if he's earning it as much. It's just happening to him. Like plot's happening to him instead of the character driving the plot, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. So that's my kind of minor niggling kind of
Yeah. Like I
issue with
said,
this
it's
character still.
yeah, and I agree. I think that's sort of the kind of things I'm talking about when I say like his
Yeah.
characterization, the writing of Matt is not so good, and that's what I'm trying to separate, like how the character is written in the show versus how the actor is portraying him, and I think the writing of him is not so good, but the actor's doing a good job with what he's been given.
Yeah.
Uh, anyway, so that this whole discussion of Matt, of course, uh, should bring us to the fourth episode
Mhm.
because this is one of the big things I want to talk about, which is I both, and again, as with so much of the show, I love what they did in some ways, and I am frustrated and left unsatisfied in some other big ways.
Yeah.
So the fourth episode of the show shows
A lot to talk about here. Yeah.
there's so much to talk about. It is a huge episode, and it's one of these like book moments that's like one of the big epic book moments. A lot is revealed, big momentous things happen. It's epic when you're reading it. You're like you can't put it down. I mean, it's
Dude.
insane, right?
Yeah, it
It's
sets the
one of
scale of the story
yeah,
too, man. Yeah.
yeah. And like this part of the book where they go into Ruidian in the Ale Waste is is epic.
Yeah.
And it's epic fantasy in all of the ways you want.
Hmm.
And what they portray in the show is actually really good. And to me, this was so far the best episode they've done.
It was the
It was
best episode so
really
far.
good.
Yeah.
It was for the fourth episode of the third season was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And yet, I am left frustrated
Ooh.
because Matt wasn't there.
I know. I know. Because
Like
it was pivotal for Matt. It's a pivotal.
it's a pivotal moment. Like because it's not just Moiraine and Rand going into Ruidian, it's Matt too.
Yep.
Matt goes into Ruidian as well. And this is where he meets, the the eelfin and the what do they call the
Elfin. Yeah,
elfin and
eel
the
and L.
eelfin.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he gets these gifts and he also gets uh in the books, spoilers, he gets hung from the tree.
Hmm.
That the tree that's in the show, there's this big tree in the middle of the city of Ruidian, right? And he gets hung from it
Yeah.
and dies
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
And it's a huge moment for his character. And then he gets revived. Rand revives him, and it's this whole thing. And then his memories are awakened, all the memories of all these past lives. And
Yeah. And that's what he asks for while he's in there.
yeah,
He
it's
wants.
one of the things he asks for. He has some gifts, and one of them is he wants these memories back, essentially. And
Yeah.
they grant him that. And from then on, his character is genuinely like a hero character. I mean,
Hmm.
uh, it's this pivotal, absolutely like cornerstone of his character in the series. Um, and in the TV show, he's just not there. He's gone with he's gone with Nynaeve and Elaine
Yeah.
uh to go to Terabon, to go to Tanchico. Like it's that
Yeah.
is that okay? Like, are we, I mean, surely they're gonna meet Tom again on this journey, and they're gonna, because in the
Maybe he'll
books,
just find it within himself or something stupid. I don't know.
yeah, or Nynaeve will. I think they're setting up Nynaeve to unlock them, but then how does he get the Fox Medallion? How does he get the
Yeah.
Chandrai, the
Neither. They're
spear? How
messing with
does
the
he get?
story again. They're messing.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the thing. I mean, that's what you said before, which is they're gonna cut it out of one place and then they're gonna like mash it back in and do it in a worse way
Less good.
somewhere
Yeah.
else, a less good way somewhere else.
Yeah.
And they've messed with, of all of the main characters, I feel like they've really like fucked with Matt's story by far the most.
Yeah.
And it's really frustrating because it's not just you and I, right? I think for a huge amount of the fan base of this show, Matt is the most popular character.
Yeah. It's so
Matt
cool.
is, yeah.
Oh, dude, his scenes. There's just so many amazing scenes with these memories. I mean, just off the top of my head, there's a scene later where he's in a court and he's wearing all this frilly gown, just frilly court garb kind of thing,
Mhm.
and he knows how to dance because he's been like a king before. And it's this cool thing where he's just this like farm kid, but he also knows how to dance like a prince. And it's so cool because you think all these past lives kind of come up and there's wisdom there. And for those who don't know too, Robert Jordan based a lot of his characters on mythology. um, and Matt is Odin basically. There's a lot of parallels with
Mhm.
Odin, including being hanged and being able to see certain things. And um, ravens are really important too. And
Yeah.
yeah, he's my favorite character. A lot of people's favorite character. So yeah, to see your favorite or one of your favorites get kind of, it's just I don't know if I trust them to be the caretakers of this character, like this beloved character, because they're doing weird stuff so far.
Yeah.
Um, I, they are kind of with everybody, but I agree. I think Matt's getting a real interesting thing. Rand is kind of in the same category for me. Like it's something that's kind of bugging me. Now, I am not a prude for shows. I am not a teetotaler. There's so much banging in this show. Everyone's banging. Everyone's having sex, and it kind
Hmm.
of bugs me actually because Rand. So this season, Rand is like a worldwide just I'm having sex with Forsaken. I have a like my girlfriend from the village, and when he talks to Moraine, there's like a quiet wisdom in his words, and it's a pretty big departure from his character. He was a
Hmm.
green around the gills farm boy,
Yep.
um, who didn't
Even in
know
this
how to
book,
act around women. You know,
even in this book, he still is.
yeah,
Even in book
yep,
4, he still is. And he gets there eventually, but like at book 4, he's still just a farm kid who's in way over his head.
yeah. Which is why the Aiel are so cool because they help to temper him
Hmm.
and raise the stakes, develop him as a character.
Yeah.
And that is something that bugs going into this. I feel like he hasn't earned his like, where he's at, where they're writing him. I think
I
the
think
actor's
he
doing
could
fine.
have Yeah, I think he
Yeah,
could have earned it if they'd kept him the farm boy up until the episode 4 here.
yeah,
I think if there was like this big change at that episode, it would have made so much more sense.
oh, right.
But it doesn't because he's been that the whole time for some reason, or at least
Yeah,
for a while. I think I think though, I talked about what the fourth episode isn't because it doesn't have Matt involved.
mm-hmm.
I want to talk about what it is,
Mm-hmm.
what they did make, because I do think that what they made in episode 4 is like 10 out of 10 fantasy television.
Yeah, it's probably the best fantasy I've seen in years on TV.
Yeah.
It's up there with some of like the early, I mean, like Red Wedding type stuff, where it's just like really
Mhm.
good, engaging fantasy that like sticks in your head. It's good.
Yeah.
Um,
The last episodes, I would agree. The Game of Thrones, the early seasons of Game of Thrones had that was the last time that like fantasy was portrayed this well or better.
mhm.
It's been a while.
Yeah,
Just to say, just it's been
been
a
a long
while.
time. Which is why it was so surprising. I didn't really expect it out of the show. And yeah, so basically the setup is they're at Ruidian. They have the Tardadel and the Shido are on each side of the this big bowl valley, and at the center of that, it's this city shrouded in mist. Like it's called the City of Clouds, I think, right?
Yeah.
There's all these clouds, and they're supposed to go down there. I was slightly miffed that they didn't go down naked like they're supposed to, but but whatever. They end up going down.
Okay.
Not that I want to see them naked. I was just like, come on, they show naked people all the time, and they don't do it when the book actually has, it's a non-sexual nakedness. Anyways, but yeah, so they have to go in, and this is where wise men or wise women go to become wise women, and chiefs like men go to become chiefs.
Mhm.
And the chiefs they go to see their past through their genetic lineage, and the wise women go to see the future, and they see all these iterations of the future, all the different ways the wheel can spin out. And man, just I was even Katie, we both haven't we kind of hate watch it a little bit the show, and both of
Mhm.
us it was awesome. It was like bringing the book alive. I thought
Yeah.
they nailed the city, um, the columns of light or like the crystal
Those
columns.
columns that they're
Oh,
yeah.
so cool.
And then the visions,
The tree.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That Rand gets, and Moiraine, right? Like the visions that Rand is getting as he's
Yeah.
like struggling his way through this, and then like there was this way like where they kept going like every step forward is a step back in time, like, and it just
Yeah.
kept like repeating through the thing. Like that whole thing was insane. Ending with the scene where, and there's gonna, I mean, yeah, spoilers. Ending with the scene where Lanfear rips open the Dark Ones is at the Dark Ones prison or rips open
The boar, yeah, the boar into
the
the,
boar
yeah,
in
and they didn't
yeah
know, but
yeah.
ah,
And
man,
that scene was like just like when it starts ripping open, like the depiction of that was
yep,
wild.
the
That was
sound,
really
the
cool.
sight,
Yeah.
yeah, they had like the pattern ripping, like
Yeah.
a cracks coming out of that point,
Yeah.
dude. And I loved it too because so I, if you've read, there's supplementary material to the Wheel of Time, and it was written by
Hmm.
Robert Jordan, but it's kind of like a guide companion book, and it talks about the Age of Legends. It talks about what happened, and like the basic premise is Lanfear did not do this on purpose. She was a
Yeah.
researcher. She was a scientist, and the boar, they were trying to bore a hole to find this source of infinite power. It's kind of got some Minds of Moria thing a little bit. They dug too deep,
Yeah.
and then they bored a hole in the Dark One's prison. But oh my goodness, like you see, it's really cool because you see Rand's ancestor with her in this cool sphere thing, and I thought that was a cool take on it, right?
Yeah.
And then they're
Yeah. I thought that
singing.
was really cool.
Oh, dude, when they're out down scything the field and singing the song, like that's a song that the Tinkers are looking after,
Yeah.
and you get that background on the Tinkers too, which I was really pleased with. Um, and man, yeah, just I could still see it in my head, the sound that it made. The whole thing collapses. So
Yeah.
epic, man. Um, I'm glad they gave the trees their due too. They had all the extra spare trees, and they were trying to spread
Hmm.
them out in the world. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. I thought that that whole sequence, all of the scenes and then when you get to see Moiraine seeing all the iterations of the future.
Yeah.
I
What'd you
thought
think
that
of the flippy
scene
bits?
that was actually I thought that was actually really cool. I
Yeah,
That was a cool way of showing the turning, you know, of the
yeah,
wheel and like all the different iterations of, all the different turns of the wheel and all the different iterations that could bring. And then um yeah, I thought that was just a really cool sequence.
oh man, they got all the
Um,
good ones in there too, like making Rand her warder, taking Rand as a lover, taking
yeah,
Lanfear as a lover.
yeah,
We saw Perrin as a dreadlord,
yeah,
Nynaeve as a
yeah,
dreadlord.
yeah.
is-
It was really cool.
yeah,
I thought they did a phenomenal job um, of depicting that in all the different versions and some, like you said, wildly different, like crazy versions. You
yeah,
know,
yeah, man. It was, yeah, I agreed. It was really well done, and it's yeah,
it was about that scene. In like Marvel, right? In the in the first of the Infinity Wars movies,
mhm.
where they're like, where he Doctor Strange like looks at all like a millions
Yeah,
of outcomes, and he's like, there's just one
only
outcome,
one
or I
route.
don't one, yeah. It's a similar kind of thing. Except imagine if they had showed you visions of all of those instead of him just like sitting there like, man, oh, I've seen them
Yeah,
all. Like, it's so much cooler in this
yeah,
because they show them so many of them, at least glimpses of like so many. It was
yeah,
such a cool way to actually depict that. Um, and to be clear, like Marvel ripped this off, right? Like this did not rip Marvel.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like it's
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Wheel of Time
it's
was doing multiverse before,
well, I think
versions
Wheel
of
of
the
Time
matter.
came way after the multiverse.
Yeah,
Um, but
that
I'm just
take
saying
on it
that
though.
scene, that take on it, that scene where he's like looking through all the iterations of the future.
And so going back to, I mean, way back episodes and episodes ago, we were talking about adaptations and stuff.
Yeah.
This episode nailed it for me, man, because they took, on the whole, they took parts of the book, they portrayed, they paid homage, it was accurate, and they expanded on some stuff, and they made it really good for television. Um,
Hmm.
Like that, the scene with the column down with the sphere collapsing just itself was just
Yeah,
breathtaking, man.
it was really.
And yeah, the cities too, and their even just their way of. There's this great scene where Rand, he's walking forward, and it shows his boots, and you're going back in time, right? And now they're like modern looking boots that he's walking
Hmm.
with, like modern shoes that are tied with laces and stuff, and he's wearing this little uniform, and it's just, man, it was cool. Had me wrapped up. Um,
Yeah. When we talk about like what fantasy adaptations can be
mhm.
and all the things that like they do wrong, all the things they do right, like what an adaptation is capable of, episode 4 is what we're talking about
Yeah,
in a good way. Again,
yeah.
there's things that were frustrating, like Matt's not in it, but I also understand. I also try to understand that like how long would that episode be? How chaotic would it be if you also had to fit Matt's experience in?
You need like another episode, you know.
You'd
Just a
need
lot.
2 episodes for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so I understand why they cut it the way they did.
Yeah.
I just hope, really, really hope they give Matt his due when it comes time, and that his episode is just as friggin' epic as this one, because it ought to be.
Yeah.
Um, and then I just try to shoehorn it in, kind of like they did with the fight scene,
Hmm.
right? Where it's
Yeah.
like kind of this separate thing where they're like, oh, and Matt will have his scene here.
Right, here's that. Yeah. Which is what
Like
they did
they,
before with the horn.
yeah,
Just shoehorned it in there. All right, there, and then there's Matt.
yeah,
Call the heroes. Here's like 12 of them.
yeah.
Go. You know?
God.
Ugh,
But for what it is, it's a
yeah.
phenomenal piece of fantasy television. It's a phenomenal piece of fantasy adaptation on the screen.
Yeah.
And I think it's worthwhile. I think it was excellent. More than worthwhile. I think it was
Yeah.
excellent.
Yeah.
Um,
It's left me pretty excited for today's episode. I'm pretty pumped up.
yeah, I agree.
Keep it
And
going.
I haven't really wanted to rewatch a lot of this show, but I'm gonna rewatch that episode. I may actually, after we're done recording this, I may actually go just rewatch it myself
Yeah.
because it was really cool.
Yeah. It's worth it. A lot of details in there. Um, they're setting up, looks like they're setting up Mogadeen to be like the main big bad villain at the end. Probably going to do like a Tenchiko showdown or something like that.
Yeah.
And Mogadeen is the servant of all the Black Ajah that are up there now. We had some kind of cool scenes where they took over the house and proved to the audience that they're bad people. Um, and I did want to ask you, what did you think of Raven's introduction, or Ravin's?
I liked it actually. I thought it was really nice and subtle.
Yeah,
Um, because there's this, they've only been free of the Dark One's prison, the Forsaken. Have only been free for what at this point, like a couple of months,
yeah,
essentially. And yet he's like using compulsion to like make people sort of believe and interact with him as if he's like a lifelong like family, an old friend. He's
yeah,
been he's been a part of their family, and major characters like Elaine. And there's like some things like where you can see how when she first walks in, she's kind of like there's this look on her face like, who the fuck are you? And then the compulsion comes over her, and she just sort of is
yeah,
like, ah, yes, I know who you are. You're,
yeah,
and I actually thought it was kind of brilliant, like the way that they're sort of that they brought him in. The actor, I think he's doing a good job. I think good casting. Um, he's not exactly like I pictured him,
yeah,
but he's not far off. He's not too far off. He's
yeah,
sort of close enough, and he's doing a good job. But then I think the way they're bringing him in and the compulsion stuff, because compulsion is basically they're using the one power, right, to affect the mind, and they've
yeah,
shown some of this ability to affect the mind already in different other ways, and
yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. And he's pretending to be this, you know, uh, essentially the
Like a consort. Yeah. Lord Gabriel, the consort.
Lord Gabriel, consort to the Queen of Andor,
Yeah.
Morghese, and yeah, it's I thought that was actually done pretty well.
Man,
Um,
what'd you think of I agree by the way. Oh, what's his name? The guy who took over Illidan, um, one of the Forsaken. We get to meet them in Teleran um, where Lanfear is trying to convince them to join her.
mhm.
Um, what's his name?
Oh, I can't remember his name. I know who you're talking about. I don't. I
Yeah, he
am
had like that
blanking on.
Cockney kind of, or not a Cockney. He had like a Scottish kind of, but he
Yeah,
was very abrasive.
I
And
think was it Samael?
yeah, Samael. Yep.
Samael. He's
I thought
fine.
it. Yeah,
Hey, we'll see. I mean, we only saw him for like a minute, right? So
yeah.
I'll withhold judgment on some of these other ones. Like,
I don't know,
we've
man.
only, yeah,
First
there's,
impressions, I liked it. He was pugnacious and like disagreeable, and I was like, all right, that's Samael. It's kind of just a shit.
yeah,
like a,
that
but
that
yeah,
is true. Yeah,
but yeah, we'll probably see more of him next.
we're certainly going to see more of him. Probably, I imagine we'll probably see more of him as as the season progresses, and if not this season, then
Yeah,
certainly the next, right?
yeah,
So, but yeah, I like how they're sort of slowly bringing in the Forsaken, right, and introducing them, and
yeah.
I think they're doing a pretty good job of
Kind
that.
of adapting them.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, I'm not displeased with the characterizations. Yeah, because like we said, they have to adapt it somehow for TV.
Hmm.
We'll see if because they are playing fast and loose with it a little bit. We'll see how it turns out. Like Moghedien is much more like, like weird, creepy in this one. They kind of combine her with some of the other characters a little bit. Because they have her that scene where she's making the gray man, um,
Yeah.
and where she's like directly confronting people and kind of being out of the shadows. And Moghedien in the book, they call her the spider because she's always hiding in a wait. She's not the one who makes the shadow spawn. Um,
Yeah. She would never interact in that
yeah,
way. She would
no,
be in her little like hiding essentially,
yeah,
pull using compulsion to pull strings, you know,
yeah,
the threads, the silken threads of her,
yeah, yeah.
web,
So there's some
um,
like changes like that. But on the other
yeah,
hand, Lanfear, I think they're doing a really good job. Like in the book Lanfear, she basically is. She's kind of not neutral. She's kind of neutral. She's still on evil side, but she would team up with Rand to defeat the Dark One kind of thing. Like she wants power for power's sake, not for any team or whatever. But I think in the show kind of puts more of a solid that was kind of nebulous in the books. In the show it's more solid. She's like, I
mhm,
will I'm kind of on Team Rand. Um, I'm going to try to put him towards my goals, but ultimately, like there's interactions where they talk about taking on the Dark One with the power and using the Sawing Grail and stuff, and the show does a good job of making you be like, maybe they could do it, you know. And
mhm.
oh, and we didn't talk about the Sawing Grail too. That's kind of the big change too in the Ruidian
Oh, it's
episode.
in Ruidian. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
So Moiraine steals a Saw Angreal that was a super powerful, you know, artifact that helped to create Ruidian. That doesn't happen in the book. She doesn't get anything like that there. It's just that straight up. Um,
well, they
you
do get
know,
the little statue there. They get one of the statues. I forget if they get the male one or the female one. I'm pretty sure they get the Chondal or whatever they call it. But I guess the main point is though they changed some of the lore a little bit, so they're going to go to the Stone of Tyr somehow. Usually, so Kalendor is the sword and the stone. They have now combined Kalendor with the Chodonkal, which are the in the books, they're the two most powerful sangreal ever created. There's one for men, one for women, and there's these little statues with globes
mhm,
on them. And they actually pair up with these giant spheres that are in different parts of the world.
yeah,
So it appears as if they are combining the two because in this they say that the Kalendor is the the brother, the male equivalent to this little ball.
They do get the Choden call there,
Hmm.
but not at the same time that they go through Ruidian. They get
Right.
it. There's a fight with Asmodean
That's right.
and
Yeah, where they're
one of
traveling
the other
around and stuff.
Forsaken. Yeah.
Yep.
So there's a big fight at Ruidian with Asmodean later on, and ideally they will portray this, right? It would
Yeah.
be phenomenal. Another this is sort of the climax of the book, or one of the climaxes of the book. It's a big book. This is actually the longest by word count,
Oh, no
uh,
shit.
the longest book in the
Yeah, I believe
series
it. It's a
by
thick
word count.
old
It's
book,
a beast.
a tome even.
It's over
Yeah.
300,000 words.
Wow.
Okay, a long Brandon Sanderson like fantasy novel is like 200,000, 200 some
Mhm.
thousand. This is like 300 and some thousand. It's like 100,000 words more than like a long fantasy novel normally is. It's a big ass book.
It is a big ass book.
Uh, and a lot of and unsurprisingly, a lot of major shit happens in it. It's a phenomenal book.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's been a while since I read it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, there's a big climax in Ruidian with Asmodean and the Choden Call and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but Moiraine never gets it right, and she's getting this, her Angrial or Saw Angrial or whatever it is. It's kind of unclear exactly what it is.
Yeah. Pulls it out of the
So
tree there. Yeah, it's interesting. I guess takeaways from it. I'm feeling more positive than I have been. In some ways, it's done us a great service of lowering the bar so far that really anything they do to make a decent show that hits some of the marks, I'm going to be happy with, and I'm going to watch it no matter what.
yeah,
But yeah, I'm left feeling really positive. I'm really excited to watch it now.
I think
Yeah,
that fourth episode is what changed it for me. And the
yep,
first three episodes of the season, I was watching and being like, well, it's fine.
yeah.
It's
A lot of
fine.
eye rolls on my end, but yeah, still, yeah,
Yeah.
it's fine.
Sure. There were things that
Uh,
changed where I was like, I don't know,
Come
or
on.
like whatever. Like the first episode was actually, I saw a lot of people who were like, oh my God, the fight scene. And I'm like, eh, like yippee fights, but nothing really felt like it landed for me in that. But then that fourth episode just came in like a wrecking ball.
Like, yeah, it really did.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That's been another weird thing with the show too. There's been a lot of disconnect. I mean, the internet's a bad place to get info, anyways. The voices that you hear are not representative, um, for better or
Yeah,
for
right.
worse.
It's on social media. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
but yeah, I see stuff like that whole first scene. I mean, I thought it was annoying with remember with the warders banging on the door,
Yeah.
and I was just like, Alana, Alana, just banging
Yeah.
on the door. Come on, man, it's
Yep.
stupid. And then when they had Chesmail the Great, like, oh, I can feel them dying
Yeah.
and getting all
I,
weird about it. I was like,
yeah.
okay, all right, I get it.
Yeah. I feel like if they had taken the same level of care with the whole previous 2.5 seasons or 2 1/3 seasons or whatever, if they had taken the same level of care with that they took with that episode, it would be a phenomenal show.
Yep.
But they
Yeah.
haven't. That's the problem. They
Yeah.
haven't. It
Yeah.
was like a completely different show. It
Yeah.
was phenomenal.
Fast and loose. Yeah, and that was what's cool about this one. So usually they have a fast and loose approach. This show was like deliberate, thoughtful, it's beautiful. It's just, yeah, it had everything you want. I agree. Yeah, if they had more of the show like that, I think it'd be worth it. I think this show could be a thing. Like this show could reignite the fan base. We could, because it's got that kind of appeal. It's got like Harry Potter style appeal where there's something for everybody. You can find
Yeah.
there's a hero you can get behind. They could really have something with the show if they are willing to spend the time and attention. Now, from what I understand too, this specific episode took lots and lots of planning and energy and probably money to
Yeah.
accomplish. I mean, they had to travel to weird locations. just the work that the actors did was so impressive this time. Like just to think of all the
Yep.
different takes they had to do and all the different outfits and all the different scenes and locations is
Yeah.
it's really impressive.
And that's what it takes to make a show like this.
Yes.
And it takes it every episode because
Yeah.
that's what you're signing up for when you decide to make this show.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be doing that just for one climactic episode.
Right.
This is what it takes to make a show like this. And it takes it every single time, not
Yeah.
just this time. And it's like, yeah, it's just frustrating, right? Because it's
Yes.
like, if you can't do that, or don't have the money to do that, or don't have the will to do that, then don't sign up to do it.
Yes. Dude, watch, they're going to do a flashback episode like back in the 90s, man. They'll have like, well, we ran out of money for this part of the season, so let's do a flashback to
Yeah.
the last season. Hey, do you
Yeah.
remember that time when
Oh
uh,
God.
it was crazy? It's kind of tongue in cheek, but I could see them doing it a little bit. I could see them doing it.
That's gonna be Matt's big episode.
Oh yeah, I could get behind that though. If there was some
No.
flashbacks to all the different like kingdoms and times between then and the.
Well, yeah, if it was new, but you
Yeah,
have to.
right.
That's gonna be another episode like the one we just got. But
Yeah.
that's not a flashback episode. A flashback episode is where they're like reusing footage from the first two seasons.
Oh my god. Yeah. I could go for a real flashback episode, but not a
Yeah.
80s style one. But
Okay.
well, man, I think we covered the gamut. I think we got all the characters.
Or
And
most of
we're
them, man.
yeah, Lan Lan still doesn't hit for me. I think he's too emotional. Too I don't know. He just doesn't fit my idea of Lan, but I can get over that. Um, I don't know. He has too much fun. He's too like jovial. Bookland is like a serious, laconic character, a stone-faced
Hmm.
king kind of person, and show land is very different.
Yeah.
And
I
then
always pictured him
Egwene's,
taller, like
yeah,
Lan.
like
I always pictured him
tall,
like a big dude.
yeah,
He's depicted like on the cover of like the Eye of the World,
yeah,
like that drawing of him. I mean, he's like a 7 foot tall like monster warrior guy. Like I mean, he's a big guy, right?
yeah.
I don't know. I always pictured him as kind of like a bigger, more quiet and brooding, kind of not very nice.
No,
you know, um, not really like a charismatic, nice guy. You
yeah,
know,
definitely doesn't sit down and talk to Rand about feelings and stuff. What are you feeling, Rand? I don't know. It's not really
no,
that kind of guy. It's like focus, farm boy. So
exactly.
I don't know. But yeah, then we didn't really get to like a Queen's arc. She's kind of got a. I guess she's doing her PTSD and being abused by Lanfear in my dreams arc, and they started her on the Dreamwalker arc too.
Hmm.
Haven't really seen too much of that. I do think they missed an opportunity too. There's a real cool scene in the books where Bear is hunting a lion on the plains when she's in
Hmm.
Teleran. And I don't understand why they didn't just include that because that's really cool about her character. Like she's dreaming about being a maiden of the spear, hunting
Yeah,
lions, and that's how they meet.
yeah.
And I thought it was
Well,
weird that she was just standing there, but whatever.
budget.
Budget.
You can't have
Yeah,
lions. Lions
yeah,
are
that's like an extra
expensive.
10 grand for a lion.
They get, in the books, I don't feel like Egwene really has that same kind of like big epic moment that a lot of the other characters do. She has a lot of smaller moments,
Mm-hmm.
um, where she's learning to from the wise women, the wise ones of the Ale. She's learning to dream walk and she's learning to control it. And but otherwise, she's kind of this is like a setup book for her character. This book is not her big story arc. It's like this is her foundational book,
Yeah,
kind of.
yeah, you're
Um,
right. Yeah,
yeah. So I her just kind of being there and learning from the wise ones
and it
is
makes
is what is her arc in this. So
seems
I'm, I'm
appropriate.
I'm sure they'll give her a bigger piece of something that takes from one
Yeah,
of the other characters, but they always do that for her character. So
and Elaine's in the same boat. I guess Men's in the same boat too.
Min's
Ha-
barely in this one.
yeah, she's more in the third. the one before. She's talking with Elena and stuff. But
Yeah, I mean, she's in this one at
mhm,
times. She's in this book at times. Like she is in it, but she's not like a major character, a major feature of the series yet, even really. I mean, she's
right.
yeah, I'm interested to see where they go with the folks that are going down to Tanchico because
Mhm.
in the book there's a lot that happens there. I'm a little I I feel like they need to introduce Julian or Julian Sandar
Yeah. Oh, if they do,
because
no,
he
he's
needs to be there for Tanchico, right? Or
well,
he ought to
yeah,
be. It's like a yeah. And
yeah,
Tom, they need to get Tom back in. I don't know if he's going to be, but he's supposed to be in the books. He's a big piece of the Tanchico story.
yeah. And I know he's coming back. I've seen like, pictures of him on set, kind of things.
Okay.
So hope
Well,
they
maybe
have
he's in
plans
this
to.
episode tonight. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, I have no idea what's going on tonight. Trying to go into it blind.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah,
We'll
man.
probably get a lot of Two Rivers tonight. They're probably going to do.
Yeah,
They did like a whole episode in Ruidian, so surely they're going to do like a lot of two the other storylines, right? Two Rivers,
yeah.
Tanchico, that stuff. So,
It's a white cloak. Yeah, you got to save the the coffin girls.
mhm.
Got to defeat those white cloaks. Defeat the shadow people, and yeah, and Perrin and
Yeah.
Fail are gonna fall in love, maybe, and probably have relations because it seems like everybody is in the show.
Okay.
Swear to God, dude.
Sorry, I gotta. Yes, everybody's having relations in the show, which I normally don't care about, except Avienda and Elaine don't have that kind of relationship in the
I
books,
know,
and like there's like they're lovers now for some reason.
dude.
Like,
That's what I'm talking about. Like, I'm not a prude about this stuff. I don't mind, but
yeah,
and Moraine is, doing her thing and having sweat tent romances and
yeah,
eh,
yeah. It's just there's just a lot of it. Like it makes it's fine when it's supposed to be there,
yeah.
but then like you're creating romances where there isn't any, and that
Oh,
creates emotional attachments. That creates like all kinds of motivations and all kinds of other complications with socially and that don't need to be there and make so you just yeah you're just adding things to the show and now you're the writer of the just do what Robert Jordan did and you'll be fine.
yeah. Just do that. Uh, when Gowan and Galad are having loud like prince sex with whatever their conquest are for that was weird too. And
That
Matt's in
was
the,
weird.
it's a funny scene, I guess, because he's there and all that. But it's
Yeah,
like I was like, that's not their characters. Why are you making them into philandering like womanizer hot boys? Like that. Galad, Galad is he's basically like a super Catholic guy, or
he's a
like a
paladin.
he's a paladin. He's not Gar.
Yeah, he's a
He's
lawful
concerned about
good.
maiden's virtue and stuff like that.
Yes, he's literally like a lawful good paladin.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, now he's a fuck boy. But
Yes. Galad the fuck boy. That should be the title of our
oh
thing.
God.
But
Yeah,
oh,
we'll
and
just
the
make the
last
title. Apparently, Galad is a fuck boy.
I like that. So the I'm glad we kept talking because the last thing I could think about, which was also odd to me, they showed a little bit of the background of the succession wars in Andor, and
Mhm.
they had Morghese or Morgassi, as teenage Dustin called her. I think it's Morghese though, but
More gays.
yeah, but she ascends to the Lion Throne with the help of Eleda, and
Mhm.
then she has her rivals brutally murdered after they
Oh
claim
yeah,
fealty to her.
yeah. That was weird.
It changes the core of the character, which is bothered because Morghese was a wise, powerful leader who pulled the country together by virtue of her leadership and strength of character.
Yeah,
And they followed her because they had fealty to her, not because she murdered their leaders.
yeah,
So it's them just they're just fucking with the formulas for my characters, man.
yeah.
With my boy Perrin, they did him dirty with the whole wife getting killed thing. Um, my boy Matt, they're screwing with
Yeah.
stuff. So here's hope. Hope springs eternal. I feel positive. Yeah, like I said, looking forward to stuff. Still have a healthy bit of But
Yeah. I feel like they want it to be Game of Thrones, but
yeah,
in trying to make it more like Game of Thrones, they're making it just less good
yeah,
and less sort of what it could be or what it ought to be, what Robert Jordan envisioned it as. This is not grimdark, guys.
yeah,
You don't need to execute all the people. Like that's not.
yeah.
Yeah, that's not
Dude,
the. That's
that
not what
bugs.
it is.
My
Yeah,
parents won't watch it. They don't. It should be right up their alley,
yeah,
but they don't like the kind of it's that over dramatization of everything.
hmm
There are a lot of viewers out there. Think like people in their like just 50s and 60s. They grew up, when they were adults in like the 80s and 90s, and they just want to watch like a show that it's like fun to watch. It's good, but it's also kind of family friendly. You don't have to watch it and have like f bombs flying everywhere and people having sex everywhere. And you know, I'm I don't know. It's really sad. Like I feel like you could be really opening this up. There could be teenagers who really get into the Wheel of Time, but there's parents out there who are like, no, hell no, you're not going to watch Wheel of Time.
hmm
There's stuff like you can't see in there. So I
I
worry a little
yeah.
bit. Yeah.
I actually about that is I would love to be able to watch this with my kids.
Ah, yeah.
I can't.
Oh no.
I
Yeah.
could read it to them, no problem.
Yeah.
I They have seen Lord of the Rings
Cool.
movies. I would good Lord, no, they are not going to be watching this, and it's all because they tried to Game of Thronesify it, and it's not Game of Thrones, and it should not be treated that way. It should not. It like it's more than maybe a young adult thing,
Hmm.
right? But not because it's gratuitous. It's more than a young adult thing because it's sort of complex and there's a lot going on and
Yeah. Well
these
said. Yeah.
huge books, not because there's a bunch of sex and violence.
Right.
Uh, yeah, it just seems like yeah, it's hard to know without being in the room, in the writer's room, in the production room, without being there. Like, it's hard to know what the fuck they're thinking. But for all the things they do right, occasionally they're doing a whole lot that's pretty fucking stupid,
Yeah.
and it's just wrong, and this is just making poor decisions about it.
Yeah.
So, um,
Oh, could have been a contender, Gus. I could have sent. I could have.
yeah,
Man, there's an alternate universe. There's another turning of the wheel where this could they could have had spin-offs, man. Like this could have reignited stuff and maybe have a kids show out of it. Maybe have new books even. I just I don't know if that's the kind of broad appeal this is going to have with the show as it is right now. This is not like reignite the franchise appeal.
yeah.
Appeal to
Yeah,
yeah,
I suspect a lot of the problems come from the people producing it, which
yeah,
are which are I don't mean like the showrunner or anything, but like I suspect a lot of the problems come from Amazon. Basically, I'm just gonna
yeah.
blame Amazon. I think
That's it.
maybe it's convenient, maybe it's too convenient. I don't
It's
know.
probably right though.
It probably is. They've put out a bunch of shitty fucking shows,
Yeah.
including the One Ring show, which is
Oh, still sore over
fucking
that.
horrible. It is not good. It's even standing on its own. It's an awful show.
Dude, I could not get it. I was amazed. I love Lord of the Rings. I just could not. I don't even know the story. I was just going in blind. Like I haven't read
Yeah,
the background stuff, and I just like no zero interest in it. But
it was just not good.
yeah,
And in almost every, it was pretty. That's it. That's all you can say for it. It was shot beautifully, and CG was pretty good.
yeah,
It was pretty. That's the only good thing I can say for that show.
yeah,
But I think because they're both the same, the same streaming service making them, I think that you can pretty pretty well compare them. I think it's fair to compare them and to say, well, look, Amazon owns both shows, producing both shows. This one was horrible for a whole bunch of reasons, and it was way worse, honestly. And I think part of the reason it was way worse is that it's not really even like based on something. I mean, it's kind of based on like the footnote lore of Lord of
Yeah.
the Rings. Um, whereas this is at least based on something, so at least has so it's kind of and it has people who really are passionate about that. But I just think it's very fair, and maybe even something that needs to be done, which is where you look at them both and you say, well, frankly, they don't know what they're fucking doing with fantasy
Yeah.
shows. They just have no fucking idea with adaptations.
Yeah.
My wife and I've been watching their Reacher show as well, and I thought the first season was kind of entertaining, and it's
Yeah.
just been kind of shitty ever since. And I don't think it's that good. And I look at like show after show after show that Amazon has put out, and there have not been very many that I've been like really in love with,
Mhm.
um, or even enjoyed very much. There've been a few. There've been a
Yeah.
handful.
We live in a world of like algorithm focus group kind of stuff. And that's I wish that's another thing I tell someone like looking into the Wheel of Time. It's like this was written at a time before algorithms and focus groups. This is just the life's work of this incredible artist. And you kind of can't. It's interesting seeing it show up in our modern world, which is so different than that kind of organic growth that we experienced where you find this book and it speaks to you. And I never had any streamers tell me about it. I've never had anybody, going through and parsing
Yeah.
through all the things. It's I read it every few years and got something new out of it. And
Yeah. And
yeah, I
I
just
just, yeah,
sucks. I don't know if people
I
have that opportunity with it anymore, with the show. Maybe they'll keep knocking it out of the park.
yeah,
I
hope springs eternal.
Yeah, they do have lots of money, Amazon, so maybe they'll keep,
Yeah.
they see how the response was to this. Maybe they'll keep pumping it in there. But yeah, hope does indeed spring eternal. That's all we've got. Well, hey,
Yeah.
I think I got everything out. I can't think of any other things I'd wanna bring up.
Same.
Yeah,
I think I'm good now.
yeah, me too. Yeah, I feel like I got it out. Um, well, cool, man. Well, thanks for talking about it.
Yeah. Likewise.
Yeah,
That was fun.
yeah, it was fun. Hope the
And
listeners enjoyed
hopefully,
it too.
hopefully
Yeah.
the rest of the season picks up where that last episode left off. Because
Here's hoping.
yeah,
Yeah, we'll
I
find
will
out
be
tonight.
watching.
Yes, we will be
Yes.
watching.
All right.
All right, man.
Well, I hope you all have a good night or good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are, whenever you are. And I hope to see you on the next one.
Yeah, stay gold.